Hello, and welcome to the Liquidity event. We're your hosts, AJ.
And I'm Shane.
And this is episode 96, being recorded on May 31st, airing on Friday, June 2nd. This week, we've got a wonderful show for you folks. We've got Robot Lawyers, new CEO in Attentive, the housing market update for you there, and it's a big week for boomers. How you doing, Shane?
I'm great. Got my bags packed. About to head on a little 3-month tour of the world. I hate it.
Yeah. sucks to suck, right?
I'm in a sweet spot. I've been complaining about traveling a lot lately, and nobody gives a shit when I complain about it. They're like, "Oh no, I travel the world all the time. Boo-hoo, world's tiniest violin." But living out of a backpack does come with health and sanity adjustments that are difficult. But excited. I'm going to see you next week. I'm going to see you in Vegas for a big conference next week. You and I are presenting 2 times in Las Vegas at the AICPA Engage conference, which is, in my opinion, one of the best conferences in the financial planning world. And that's because it's the most expensive one. No, I kid. But but I'm excited to speak about AI and investing with you, as well as some technical stuff around equity compensation next week that we have kind of our like, this is how you do equity comp, other advisors, and it usually gets really good reviews. Our director of planning, John, just did it at Napa and got rave reviews and got asked to come back. A lot of appetite for equity compensation education. So excited. Indeed. Yeah, I'm excited too. It's my first time at this conference. I couldn't go last year. I forget why, or the year before, but I am pumped to hang out with our whole team in Vegas. So if you're attending AICPA, we've got a cabana on Monday at the Aria Hotel. So we'll see you there. This will air just in time.
Just in time to catch me by the pool, sipping on a mojito. What do you drink in Vegas by the pool? Mojito, it's like tropical. What's a good poolside Vegas drink of choice?
Beer's kind of rough because you get the belly. Vesper is way too strong for Vegas. It's like 110 degrees. Okay. It's more of like whatever you drink on the Italian coast, because if there's anything that Las Vegas reminds you of, it's Italia.
Well, that is if you're at the Venetian.
Yes.
Or the Bellagio, or the other 4 other Italian-themed hotels in Las Vegas.
I'll tell you what you should drink next week, AJ, is Amaro in soda water with fresh lemon. All in this. Fresh lemon juice.
All right.
Yeah.
I had a great Amaro last night. Anyways, let's dive into some articles this week. Breaking news, the FAFSA is getting a makeover. Congratulations to the FAFSA. She's going to look great this year. The FAFSA is the form that prospective students or college-bound students fill out to get financial aid at the universities that they're attending. It's a form. It's a calculation of a mixture of income and assets from both the parents and the kids, and they are recalculating how that expected contribution from the family is going to be determined. This is kind of like boring in the weed stuff, but TLDR, there's positive changes here for the most needy borrowers, meaning the families who cannot afford to send their brilliant kids to schools they've already gotten into. Hopefully this new FAFSA will favor those folks instead of the more, well-off folks who could potentially pay for college. Any thoughts here, Shane?
Yeah, a couple. One is I'm going to, my nieces and nephew are both 17, so I'm going to be running through the FAFSA with them. Actually, tonight, I'll land in Houston and go through the FAFSA with them.
You have a FAFSA date? Oh.
I have a FAFSA date with my niece who wants to go to Harvard. So going to have a rough conversation with her. So, she's amazing, but not quite there. But other thoughts
She is amazing also. She is amazing.
No. She's not the valedictorian. Is the only reason she's not quite there. She's like top 20 in her high school, but not the valedictorian. So, damn, that sounded rough. But anyway, that's what college conversations are about. I was like,
they are rough, right?
Yeah. It's about setting your expectations.
Yeah, Monday was 529, which May 29th, which we call 529 Day around here, which is the college savings account. So all of our clients who have college-bound kids got an email. We're going to do some really in-depth college planning with them to be like, what schools are we talking about? Which schools, based on your income and your assets, does your kid who has a specific interest in astronomy, which school should they go to where you're going to get the most bang for your buck, as they say?
Yeah, just like in the weeds stuff. I guess apparently everyone had an expected family contribution. It could bottom out at 0. So they had this like really wide base of the pyramid. And now you can have a negative expected family contribution, was essentially a euphemism for like, are you poor? How poor are you? So now you can be more poor. So some people can be more poor.
It's like refundable credits in the tax code, right? Like,
yeah, now the pyramid can invert and you can be more poor and get more from the Pell Grant system here in America, which is like the best college program we've ever come up with, and have given a lot of bootstraps for young people to pull themselves up by. So huge fan of the updates here.
Awesome. Speaking of bootstrapping, we've got some startup news. One of our favorite startups, Attentive, which is if you're texting with a brand sends you a text message, chances are that was on the Attentive platform. So super exciting. I guess we don't want to really call them a startup anymore. They're pretty mature at this point. They've got a new CEO, which, as we know, is typically a signal that they are getting serious about going public. So the former CEO, Brian Long, is out. New CEO, Amit Jawar, is in. So we are fingers crossed. Hopefully we'll see an Attentive IPO in the next 18 months is what they're targeting, which is great news for a lot of our clients and potential future clients who are at Attentive. Yeah. Speaking of social media, it's bad for you. Did you know that? Did you know that the Surgeon General has officially come out and said that the risk of social media and its effect on youths, teenagers and kids, on their brains is potentially harmful enough that the Surgeon General is going to slap a big old warning on all social media?
Thank you for the My Cousin Vinny joke. Always appreciated as someone that moved from New Jersey to Mississippi in the 90s. Yeah, there needs to be a word for that sudden emptiness you feel when you delete all the socials from your phone. That, like, have you done that where you delete them all and then you're like, you pop your phone up because your brain has that dopamine requirement, and then you just scroll through the apps, like your screen, like there's nothing here. What is that?
So I've never deleted, but I do get called out all the time by my husband for like mindless, like he's like, oh, we got to call the Uber to go to the airport. And I like pull up Instagram with like and he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. It's just like such muscle memory, which is so fucked up. Sorry, kids.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like, imagine Instagram's not there. So you just keep looking for that nugget, like on the mouse on the wheel. Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, it's illegal. This is like saying that smoking causes cancer in the 80s. Like, we know. Let's do something about it. Let's age gate it for kids at the very least, please.
Right. But I think this is a great first step because, yeah, smoking causes cancer in the 80s. What did we get? We got labels on all cigarettes. We got limited advertising. Like, there were big sweeping changes that Congress eventually made. So hopefully we'll start to see some regulation in the tech space around, like, hey, you can't just click a box and say, yes, I'm 18 and get access to all of TikTok. Like, maybe we need some regulation based on how old you are and what kind of content you're seeing. Because, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Don't you feel grateful that you grew up without a smartphone? I feel so grateful. We had Facebook in college, but just barely. Like, it wasn't on our phones. You had to log into your computer. You could message people. It was still very much, it still felt like a one-to-one communication, not I'm inundated with millions of people showing me weird shit, everything from TikTok dances to extremist, political views. So I'm grateful that I got to grow up without it. I feel for parents who are just trying to figure out how to navigate this. Like, should we limit it? They don't want to like ruin their relationship with their kids and turn off their access to their friends. But yeah, this feels like a very scary, slippery slope to go down.
Mm-hmm. The Facebook poke was all I had to worry about. The original DM. When I was 19. I didn't poke
I had many friendships and relationships begin on Facebook, but it felt the Facebook that I started with and made relationships
what do you mean?
With. Like at college, like you would be like, you'd see someone at a party or you'd message them and then you would like hang out with them.
Wait, you would message them on Facebook and then go meet them in person? Or you would say, hey, I saw you on Facebook when you saw them in person?
You would like see them in person and be like, oh, who's that cute person? And then you would message them on Facebook, be like, hey, nice to meet you.
Right. Yeah. It's
not to get into the gory details or anything.
No, I'm just genuinely curious. What the hell?
Anywho.
I think that's still the case. We still do that on Instagram.
Oh, do we?
You've been married for a while. We call it DMing, AJ.
Right.
Do you want to DM us over to this next article here?
Yeah, let's slide in my DMs and tell me about AI startups and how they're saving time in the legal space. We've got this article here from Semaphore. Money pours into AI startups that save countless hours of legal paperwork. Please lower my attorney bills. Anything that's going to do that, I am a fan of. This startup has the coolest name of any startup I've seen in a while. It's called Spellbook. And essentially
Yeah.
it's what is it? It's like assistance for paralegals of law firms. And what's most stunning about this to me is that it costs $180 a month for a subscription, which seems like a pretty good investment if you're a law firm that can bill, I don't know, what, $800 an hour for a paralegal and potentially thousands of dollars an hour for a full-fledged partner. So yeah, this to me seems like a good investment.
Yeah, well, it scales pretty quickly. And I think they've got a few hundred law firms on their platform now, and they've got a few thousand more that they are looking to add. And there's all these cool tools. I heard someone comparing this moment in time to like the Apple, the App Store. Like we all have now the ability to download apps to our phones back then. And like now AI is creating all these new use cases. And this is like a specific... And like, there's the idea that like ChatGPT and the tool like this isn't going to be the coolest use of AI. Like it takes a while for us to learn how to use these new tools. But I do like this use case, right? Like something hyper specific. Like this could also just be like a skin on top of ChatGPT. I'm not sure if they have their own LLM. I don't think it would be crazy for them to have their own LLM. There's a lot of like open source LLMs out there, or maybe they've leveraged an open source LLM to build this and specifically keep it within the context of law, which allows it to be more effective.
Yeah.
I do want to... All right. They have 600 legal teams currently and 35,000 on the wait list.
On the wait list.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was looking at the next article already and skipped over these numbers. So yeah, like a lot of lawyers in America.
There's some demand for this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you and I may have listened to the same Pivot episode about the future of AI. And one of the interviews on there was with a guy named Joshua Browder, who has a startup called Don't Pay for That or something. And basically he used AI to write responses to parking tickets, so people could get out of parking tickets because he was good at finding the excuses and matching them up with a ticket. But he so basically like this startup is really exciting, but there is this contingent of lawyers who are like, you can't do this. Like the law says it has to be a human. We know the law better than anyone. Don't introduce this newfangled technology that's wrong. It's going to give you the wrong answer. It's going to make up fake cases, as we'll talk about in a moment. And Browder had the best analogy, which is like, he's like, this is like dinosaurs trying to sue the Ice Age. It's like, it's coming. Like innovation is coming to your industry. Like, shut up, dinosaurs. Like, this is going to save you time. You can still bill us whatever you want. Just don't, now you have... Instead of having people actually sit there and read documents, you can actually have people learn things and support you in your arguments and talking to clients instead of just sifting through documents with a highlighter. I mean, the only way that I understand like what lawyers actually do is from the movie Clueless, where Cher's father is sitting around their dining room table with like 7 other obviously very smart, highly paid people, like literally highlighting things with Post-its, and Cher gets in trouble for highlighting the wrong things, the wrong conversation. So AI is not
my
gonna
daddy
make that
makes mistake. My daddy makes $500 an hour. What do you think with inflation Cher's dad makes now?
Easily,
that was 99?
At least 3,000 an hour.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, shout out to the paralegals that are going to learn how to use these tools, that have the ability to figure out how to engineer ChatGPT to actually help them with their job, or Spellbook or whatever tool they end up using. But the ones that don't, I think, are the ones that are at risk here of losing their jobs. Right. So it will.
Totally.
Go ahead.
I was going to say quick wow from this article that I didn't know is that DocuSign earlier this month introduced agreement summarization, which was an AI tool that actually summarizes all the legalese in the document you're about to sign, which is awesome because, as we all know, when we get DocuSigns, what do? You go click, sign, and you don't read anything. And you assume that you're not going to sign your life away, but you never know. So I love this idea of, hey, here's 6 bullet points on the thing that you're about to sign.
That's great, especially like terms of service that are like 4,000 pages long. This reminds me of somebody's great tweet that came up around AI. It said, the future where the robots get to do all the painting and all of the creative fun work, and I have to do all the grunt work and take out the trash is not the future I was hoping for. Where all the robots are painting and writing plays. So I guess this
the
is
robots
kind of
get
like,
to be the Picassos, and we're stuck being the
we're
Marx.
plumbers and accountants. Yeah. But anyway, so I guess this is a step in the right direction, like opposed to that tweet. Like it's actually cutting down on the legalese and the grunt work of making sure that the lubricant of tax or of legal work that needs to happen to keep our society running is getting easier for us. So
Yeah.
Sure.
Speaking of making legal work easier, we got this guy, Mr. Schwartz. This is a New York Times article. What happens when your lawyer uses ChatGPT? This seems like a very anecdotal, like funny criminal offense here. A lawyer basically used ChatGPT to write his argument, and somehow ChatGPT spit up, what was it, like 10 or 15 like completely made up cases that just weren't, there was like no precedent. And the judge was like, I've literally never heard of any of these cases before.
I couldn't find them.
Yeah. So like this guy, you know, older gentleman, probably like grandson was like, you got to check out ChatGPT. And it was like, who knows what prompt he put in there to get all these fake cases. Side note, the lawsuit was between a passenger and the airline Avianca. You're familiar with Avianca Airways, which always makes me think of Aviato, which is Erlich Bachman's company in Silicon Valley, which just reminded me to go back and watch that show.
No.
Remember
it reminds me of
Aviato?
I got to rewatch that show. Super fun. But it reminds me of Vialto, PwC's spinoff for international stuff that is always wrong, as our clients know. I've been on Avianca, I think probably Buenos Aires, like a flight from somewhere. It's like a South American airline. But I do love that ChatGPT made up some other, I guess somebody pushed the cart into some guy's knee, like the drink cart, and he said he was injured.
Oh, on the airplane. Yeah, that was the lawsuit.
Yeah, that was the specific thing. And so this boomer lawyer said, hey, ChatGPT, give me some other cases where this has happened. And it came up with like Delta versus Mason and American Airlines versus Ayers. And then the judge was like, the fuck are these cases? These
I've never heard of this.
And so I love that a boomer was like, your generation is lazy. It doesn't know how to balance a checkbook or write in cursive. And then also boomers, the quote from the article, Mr. Schwartz, who has practiced law in New York for 3 decades, told the judge that he had no intent to deceive the court or the airline, and that he apologized profusely, and he was unaware of the possibility that its content could be false. If you read, it's like the first thing it says when you open up ChatGPT is, I will generate incorrect information.
It literally says, don't use this in a court of law, first of all.
And I guess he didn't have a paralegal. I mean, this could be like a lot of people sue big companies all the damn time. I bet this was just like a harried lawyer that's got an upstate office. I was just like, oh yeah, sure, I'll take your case. Like there's a moonshot that you'll get $1 million and I'll get $300K out of it, and like doesn't have a paralegal to like review anything that kicked out of ChatGPT. It's like I don't even blame the guy, honestly. But it's very funny. Either.
It's funny. That's what I mean. It's like, this is just like, let's trot out this example of like, this is why it's dangerous. It's like, this is not dangerous. This is someone who's had the term paper was due at 5 p.m. and needed a shortcut is what happened here.
And I bet his client uploaded something at the last minute.
Yes.
So he didn't have time. Classic.
He was like, come on, man, you got to tell me what happened. He's like, whatever. I'm showing up to court. Got to grab my shit.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Super busy. On vacation. I'll get back to you later.
Oh boy. Anyway, should we talk about the housing market?
Let's ride.
Cool. Did you ever build? No, neither of us had a good segue. Would you ever build your own house? Is that something that interests you?
Yes, for sure. Even though it's a nightmare. So my family built their own house in Mississippi in 1999, maybe 2002. And my mom picked me up from school and took me to the house that was under construction every day after school. So instead of going home doing my homework, I had to walk through this house under construction and review tile placement and fireplace. My mom is such a Scrooge that she would like argue with the contractors every day. It was my nightmare. So that's my personal anecdote around building a house. With that said, it was a beautiful house. It's a cheaper way to do it. Go for it. What's up?
No, I was just going to say, I want to give a shout out to your buddy, Harrison, who
Yes, that's why I would build a house.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Yeah, so Harrison he used to build what are they called? Earth ships, which were totally off the grid houses. That's who I'm going to see next week or in 2 weeks. Part of my tour is going to live with him in his Earth ship in Western Ireland. I was there last summer for his wedding. Looking forward to seeing him. So yeah, he builds Earth ships. If I was going to build a house, yeah, it was. I would. Thank you. Time flies when you're having fun, kids. time flies when you're an entrepreneur.
How old are we? I'm 26. How about you?
Time's fun when you're having flies. Kermit the Frog. So if I was going to build a house, yes, I would build it on his land in Ireland. He's invited me. We could build it together. He could show me stuff. He's taught me how to weld. A lot of personal stuff there. But did you know that Ireland is high on the list of if the Earth was to melt down, Like if climate change was to go off the grid, like go rampant, we didn't stop it. Ireland is like top 5 places to live for post-apocalyptic climate change.
Dude, you got to get into climate change spec fic. Like there are so many good novels about this shit right now. Yeah.
I'm talking about actual facts, but anyway, what are you... I don't read as fast as you, AJ. So listener, AJ will send me a book a week and be like, oh, you have to read this book. It's incredible. Like, dog, I am still reading Harry Potter. Like,
wait, you haven't read Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow yet? Oh my God, I'm gonna literally kill you. You have to read this book. You're gonna come to me and you're gonna call me at 2:00 in the morning. You're gonna be weeping and you're gonna be like, oh my God, AJ.
My God, I like to drink. I don't. Anyways, what are we talking about?
We're talking about building houses.
Right.
Is it cheaper? So look, the housing market right now, if you're trying to buy a house in, I don't know, literally anywhere, it's expensive. So folks are like, okay, hey, I'm not going to buy this like shitty, a house that would have cost, I don't know, $200,000 5 years ago is now $1 million, and it's shitty construction and it's in a weird neighborhood. So why wouldn't you just buy a piece of land or a teardown in a neighborhood that you want and build your own house? So this is New York Times article is actually doing a survey of which states it's actually cheaper to build your own house than it is to actually buy your house. And what was the answer? Is that, in California, it was actually $200,000 cheaper to build new houses because housing stock in California is so low at the moment. And in New York, building from scratch was the least financially advantageous, as I have been telling our clients for 10 years. And no one ever listens to me. But anyways, I think I would potentially build my own house. I don't know. I also love architecture. So I love the idea of like buying something that an artist has conceived in a way that I could never think of. I mean, I like the idea of working with an architect, but I also love like historical architecture, like mid-century to be specific.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. I mean, my takeaway is that essentially wherever it's cheaper to build wherever home values have skyrocketed due to very high, quality of life, like Hawaii, like I imagine, and California, like people want to live there. So the cost, especially during the pandemic, and I've been complaining, by the way, for 15 episodes. I don't know why cost of living has gone up in New York with everyone leaving, which is an article we're not going to get to today. Maybe we'll save it for next time. But but I don't know why I didn't realize like people just want as much house as they can get, even if New York is emptying out. The people that are staying, they just want as much house as they could get. So the rents are going up. So no surprise that in Hawaii and California, costs are going up. I bet you can't get somebody. Like getting a contractor in Hawaii to build you a house. I bet that's like a 5-year process, by the way.
Yeah, that's what this article is just like, to me, misses out on like the cost of these projects. What happens when your contractor leaves? What happens when you're on your 4th contractor and you're in a lawsuit with your 1st contractor for $50,000? Like building a house is like a fucking nightmare. It
takes years, especially I bet in Hawaii, it's a fucking, Are you already living in Hawaii, by the way? Or are you living in Nebraska and you're on a 4-hour time difference and you're not paying attention to the contractors?
Or a 6-hour time difference.
Yeah.
And also you're an island. So if you need materials, they need to be shipped over on a boat. So good luck with that. Anyway.
Yeah, everyone knows getting stuff off a boat has been super easy the past 3 years.
Speaking of super easy, Rocket Mortgage will now let home buyers put down as little as 1% on their home. Look at that. Unqualified buyers can buy houses they can't afford. What does this smell like to you, Shane?
I really didn't know where you were going with that segue. I was concerned about this. Speaking of super easy. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? People that can't afford houses, buying houses. Where have I read this before? Checks notes. Biggest recession since 1929.
Biggest crisis that sunk the global economy. And anyway, I mean, look, I am generally pro allowing folks to buy homes that don't have access to them because of credit mistakes they made in their 20s or, temporary income loss or whatever. But generally, like borrowing for a home, if you're only putting down 1%, that's a big ass mortgage you're gonna have to take care of. Like if you can't come up with 20%, chances are you probably haven't been able to save over the years, which means you're probably not going to be able to make that mortgage payment because we probably don't have an emergency fund. This just scares the shit out of me. And Rocket Mortgage is going like, this isn't like last time. This isn't like 2008. It smells a lot like 2008 to me.
I'm going to take the other side of that argument.
Oh yeah, go for it.
And say I'm psyched about the program because apparently, I mean, it is a private company, Rocket Mortgage. It's not. I don't think you have to pay mortgage insurance here, which I love. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are involved and are going to pay, and Rocket Mortgage will pay 2% of the borrower's loans and maintain strict credit standards. I think that I love the idea of increasing the ability to get into a home. And I don't think that these are subprime mortgages. I think these are people with very high incomes. They just haven't been able to save up for the down payment. I hate that 20% down payment on a conventional mortgage. I know the average down payment is only 6 or 7%, but the 20% conventional mortgage requirement to avoid mortgage insurance is restrictive, especially in today's market.
Why don't we just get rid of mortgage insurance?
Why don't we get rid of the FDIC? Why don't we just let the libertarians take over and see who wins the blood revolution?
No, I didn't mean to be anti getting folks into homes.
No, I know. It's cautionary.
I mean, look, like VA loans. Like if you're a veteran, there's fantastic federal borrowing programs. So like if we could just take that model and expand it a little bit, to me, that's the government's got to get involved in this. And I'm nervous that a private company is leading the way. But as we know, a lot of innovation has to come from the private sector. So maybe maybe we'll see some changes to policies. Speaking of changes to policies, are you familiar with this golden visa program in Portugal that everyone's been taking advantage of for the past couple of years? Well, it's over. It's done.
You got me.
You're done.
Great.
Sorry, you're shit out of luck, Shane.
Yeah. So I know that. Yes, well, go ahead. Dive into it.
Sorry, we're calling this section, by the way, Big Week for Boomers, because a lot of the things we're about to talk about are going to be able to be taken advantage of by people who have exited the accumulation phase of their life and have a bunch of money and are trying to figure out how to retire comfortably. So Golden Visa program is basically the idea that you can make an investment in a country. Typically, it's a cash investment or you're buying property or something. And by bringing your dollars to that country, becoming a tax-paying citizen, they will reward you with citizenship. So basically, you can say, hey, I'm 65. I got some money. I want to retire to a beach villa in Portugal. And Portugal will grant you citizenship if you spend some money there. But basically, too many people did that and too many people took advantage of the program. So they shut it down as of this month. So sorry. But when one door closes, another opens. So Greece is next on the list. So for those of you looking to retire abroad, Greece is the next target for a lot of these golden visa schemers. Would you do this? I bet you would. This is a very Shane Mason thing. This is Shane Mason written all over it.
It's funny you say that because I'm in the middle of it actually right now. I've already filled out my application and I have my
Greece?
meeting with my attorneys. No, with Portugal. So the way so there's a ton of different golden quote unquote golden visa programs.
I can't keep up.
I know, it's fine. So I got my Mexican visa. I'm finally living the dreams of my 19-year-old version of myself of living abroad. So I believe that parts of the Golden Visa program in Portugal are shutting down, and there's like different ways you can go about it. One is like you can just do a direct injection of a bunch of cash, and you don't even have to live there that long, and you only have to learn a minimal amount of Portuguese, and then you get a European passport, which means you can live in Greece, you can live in Ireland, you can live in Germany, wherever. So that's like the big. If you got money, like it's a no-brainer if you want to go over there. And there's like another version of this where you actually live there, work there, own a company there, and that's what I'm applying for. So I think that is still available. I'll talk to the attorneys about it. But I just want to remind everyone that... Lisboa FI.
Lisboa.
Yeah.
Algarve.
Yeah, obrigado.
Vino verde.
Yeah, absolutamente. Got to learn the Portuguese word for octopus soup.
Cachaça.
Good God.
Okay. All right. Sorry.
Yeah, that's Brazilian. Anyway, almost out of time here.
Yeah,
so,
I'm goofing off. You're saying, yeah.
I want to remind everyone that every country has a similar program. Even the United States has a similar golden visa program. It's just like the level of a capital that you need. I think you need like $2 million US to inject it to a real estate program, and you can get a visa in the United States. So that's why, like a lot of folks in the Middle East, Anyway,
amazing. I'm going to slide one more in here and then we're going to wrap it up.
Okay. All right.
Breaking news. You can now hail an Uber by calling a phone number, which is great news for you boomers who have not been able to figure out the Uber app. Now you can treat Uber, which is one of the greatest innovations of the past 10 years, you can get a taxi by calling a phone number. So that's great news for all of us. My family in particular. Thanks so much for listening, folks. You can email us your financial problems at liquidityevent@brooklynfi.com. You can leave us a voicemail, memo.fm/liquidityevent. We'll play it on the air. No one ever has done that. Show notes can be found at brooklynfi.com/episode 96. Stans can leave us a review if they want to be weird about it. Love you guys. See you next week.
Bye.